Also the rescue vehicle moving back to its place where it normally parks. But all along, Ponce is able to pull clear. Nobody on his tail. As you see, he's not having to take a defensive line. He could pick his line in that number 72 ACA ASP Mercedes. That said, it's been a better first half of the lap from Patrick Van Glabeke as he goes into the second part of the lap, just easing away very slightly from the Mercedes of Maurice Ritchie, who then seems to sort of make up all the ground he lost. Now, it looked like a little bit of a mistake down there from Ponce. They certainly seem to be a whole lot closer, nearly 2.4 seconds behind him on the start-finish line last time. I reckon they've actually claimed a little bit back, but when you get a tighter part of the circuit, of course, it bunches up all the cars, then it opens out again. It's like a concertina being unwound, so suddenly he starts to stretch it all over again. There is McKenzie being chased very hard indeed by Lucchini, and 63, Nicholas van Dierendonck in 6th in the white, red and blue Lamborghini. Has got his own pressure as he tries to close in. He's got Karim Oj right on his tail. So what's the gap first to second? It was 2. Oh, he's only come down by 1/10 of a second. So yes, the concertina effect going the other way. There's Karim Oj, so unfortunate, with a shunt at the far side of the circuit and Hungaroring, precluding him taking part. But great little battle from McKenzie back down to Oj. Then really a bit of a gap, and then the next car leading the Iron Cup class. He started in 8th place. He's running in 8th place for Arteco Rennsport, Klaus-Dieter Freres. And Klaus-Dieter has 4 wins in the Iron Cup class to his name this year. And he may yet profit from those ahead, because suddenly Van Dierendonck has lost a little bit of ground because he's defending so hard from the BMW racer Karim Oj, who's almost up the inside at the early point in the lap. Now trying to take a much wider line through turn 4, down the hill through the kinks at 5 and 6. Oj's been here, seen it, done it, and he's got his nose up the inside, but just managing to sweep across the nose of it. Van Dierendonck hands on. Yeah, now he's covering the inside line. You go too deep into 7, you really start to suffer. But a jink to the outside, crest of the hill though. Slightly greater speed carried into that point on the circuit, but diminishing options as the Lamborghini holds its line around the inside. But a very, very good tow being gathered here by Karim Oj, showing one side, showing another. Van Dierendonck can't defend on both sides of the circuit, but unfortunately you have to do a bit more braking than that. The moment the door was almost open, Oj has a big enough advantage over the car behind, so he stays in 7th place. But that deep braking was great fun, but not enough of it to complete the corner. So he tried, and that's what we want to see out on the circuit. You don't come just to set fast lap times. It's about racing, which is exactly what Oj's on. And drive-through penalty for car number 33. That is Christian Hook. Don't forget, we saw he's being given a drive-through for causing a penalty, causing a collision, sorry. And the collision was with Mario Cordoni. We saw him push the blue and yellow Lamborghini off. So at the moment, Christian Hook running in 3rd overall. Now a change for 2nd place up the inside, but has he got the braking done? Yes, he has. So up into 2nd place goes Maurice Ritchie. Now, what can Patrick Van Glabeke do about him? Can he fight his way back? That's been coming for several laps. 3.7 seconds was the advantage our race leader Anthony Ponce had over this pair last time around, but at the start-finish line, it had been the Ferrari ahead. So things have just changed, as we observed. Good move there from Ritchie. And again, Van Glabeke didn't make it too hard. Decided, we've got a race today, a race tomorrow, no point having contact. So he left the door sufficiently open when he saw the momentum that the ACA ASP Mercedes driver had. Oliver Baumann, father of Dominic, in his SLS AMG Mercedes. A bit of bodywork loose on Malagamua's Lamborghini. And after all his positive attempts to get past earlier, Stephen Earle has gained 3 places through the course of the event. His next target is Malagamua, but he needs to get more places than that, because the car he's chasing is running 8th, and Stephen Earle in that 111 Kessel Racing Ferrari is down in 12th place overall. Turn 10, of course, we saw just not so long ago. Car number 2, we saw Karim Oj going off, but he didn't involve anyone else, and he rejoined the circuit. In fact, at the end of that lap, he was only 1.3 seconds down on Van Dierendonck, so it shows the just out of the back of this shot. There's Van Dierendonck in the white Lamborghini. In the background of his shot, number 7 is running. That's Lucchini running in a 5th place in his Ferrari. So onto his 7th lap now with a whisker under a 5-second advantage over the second of the Mercedes, his teammate. There it is, number 87, Ritchie. And Van Glabacker now starting to drop back a little bit. Looks like it's going to be a Mercedes 1-2. Will it be another Ferrari getting in the mix? Will Lucchini be able to demote McKenzie in their battle over 7th place? Background shot just saw Klaus-Dieter Freres leading the Iron Cup class. There's Coach McKenzie in 4th place. Lucchini pushing him hard, hard, hard. Still waiting for, in fact, Hook has now come in to serve his drive-through penalty and just emerged, so he's tumbled down the order, which promotes Oliver Baumann and Balagamua up into 9th and 10th positions overall. Now, can McKenzie go on towards his best result in the season so far? He's has a 5th to his name, but the number 17 Lamborghini driver, lights flashing, but he's not close enough to the back of Patrick Van Glabacker up ahead to try and depose him. Gives him something to do in the cockpit. Certainly Van Glabacker isn't able now to live with the pace of either of the two Acura ASP Mercedes. You can see the gap is expanding. In fact, Maurice Ritchie has just set the fastest first sector of anyone, the fastest second sector of anyone, so he's taken about a third of a lap. Number 4, unfortunately, into the pit lane to retire. Claude-Yves Gosselin, he'd been running in just the tail end of the top 10, but he has slid down now, so unfortunately for the extra cup class runner, well, hopefully all is okay for the car, or will be by tomorrow morning. In fact, he's stopped near the entry to the pit lane, just past the control tower, and it's nowhere near his pit crew. We've had to run up the pit lane to meet him and greet him, but on to have we a response. The gap between first and second, does it go out? Yes, no, it goes opposite way, so very good end to the lap. Half a second quicker. Maurice Ritchie couldn't respond there. Looks like he was going to take a chunk out of the time. It's now 5.006 of a second. McKenzie's now started to come into under pressure because certainly Lucchini is looking very, very keen. He got too close and nearly put himself off into the gravel. That's brought a bit of breathing space for the first time in several laps from McKenzie in the 17 Lamborghini. And maybe Lucchini might just notice there's something getting closer and closer behind him, because Nicola van Dierendonck, in fact, took 7/10 of a second out of him last time as they go from turn 2 to turn 3, diving up the inside, but not quite close enough. Lucchini doesn't close the door, but he comes sufficiently far across to protect it for that corner. Will be on the correct line, or the inside position for the following corner. Has he braked too late in his defence? That's certainly what Van Dierendonck was hoping he would do. Who's got the power down better? The Ferrari driver stays ahead, but it's getting interesting. Karim OJ getting onto the back of that group. 2 becomes 3, down to turn 7. Do they understeer too deep into the corner? No, taking it very cautiously, which gives you a far, far better exit for the blast up to the crest of the hill. There, turn 9. Corner that's completely blind when you arrive up the slope. Just have to learn where to turn in, when to pitch the car. OJ, big fan of getting a toe. Not quite enough, and don't forget we saw him make a mistake down to this turn 10, the bottom of the hill, where he ran over the red painted area on the exit of the corner. So unfortunately, Claude-Yves Gosselin blowing his cheeks out. Can't really see what the problem is with the car. The car is now being pushed back up. I think it's going to go into the scrutineering area. But anyhow, they keep it out of the way in the pit lane. Lucchini fighting very hard in 5th place, right behind. He's got Nicolas van Dierendonck, and then number 2, Karim OJ through the chicane, luckily staying, or wisely staying clear. Now car 52, that's a drive-through penalty for overtaking under the yellow flag. Car 52 is Frédéric Jean-Marie Fangio, to give him his full name. French driver, not Argentinian, despite what you might be thinking. And he's running down towards the back middle order, 14th place of the runners. So drive-through penalties undoes all the good work he's done, but a yellow flag is a yellow flag, and they're waved there to warn of hazards ahead. So it's a caution all the drivers know they have to attend to. So it's the 72 Mercedes leading the way from the 87. There we have them, 5.794. In fact, that's just changed. So just started another lap. It's now 6.1 seconds. So just look as though Ritchie was closing in. It changed all over. Karim OJ. Karim not afraid to try a few different lines to the others, but that you'd have to suggest wasn't a good one. It lost him about half a second running too deep into a corner. And the GDL Racing Mercedes, Roberto Ranieri, fighting with Martin Lanting. Lanting has made his way through, but Martin, not such a feature in this race as he has been in previous ones, but the standards get higher and higher as we approach the end of the 3rd season of Blancpain GT Sports Club. just great to see all these different manufacturers, these different shapes and sizes of cars. There's Christian Hook in the background. He was the driver who had to have the first drivers to have a drive-through penalty, and that was a tipping arrival off the circuit. Put Cordoni off into the gravel at turn 4. No such problems for Anthony Ponce. He just set last time around the fastest lap of the race. This one doesn't look as good. He was 6.1 seconds clear. Probably about to stretch that, but in fact the first part of the lap, again Ritchie very strong in the first part of the lap, and Ponce better at the end of the lap, but it pretty much balances out. It's come down by not a lot, in other words 0.0119 of a second, 91 thousandths of a second. I think we can call that evens. Van Glabbeker very much safe in third place overall. He's 2.5 seconds clear of Coach McCanty. It's this battle, though, where the really, really close stuff is. Nicolas van Dierendonck trying to get up with the red and white striped Ferrari in front of him, and also keep that number 2 BMW behind. Battle for 5th place overall. McCanty just about far enough clear in his green Lamborghini. Then comes Lucchini, then Van Dierendonck in 63, the white, red and blue Lamborghini, and behind him the black, sinister, if you will, BMW M6 of Karim Ojay. Worth pointing out, these cars will complete their season on Sunday the 1st of October. That's tomorrow. Today is a 25-minute race, and tomorrow, starting hopefully at midday, that's the plan, their main race, their final race of the season. 40 minutes for the main race, this one 25 minutes, and we're almost into the final 5 minutes. So is there going to be a move coming? Looks like Lucchini in the red Ferrari, the white stripes on the roof, the BMS Scuderia Italia colours, is starting to be wound in by 63, Nicolas van Dierendonck. Right now, all the early challenges from number 2, Karim Ojay. He seems to have the speed just about to get back on the tail, but we've had a couple of moments, most notably a lap and a half ago, where we saw him running very wide as he went up the hill through turns 11 and 12. Has it gone out? Yeah, a better lap, a third of a second gained by our race leader over Ritchie. Ritchie driving the 87 Mercedes. His ASP teammate Anthony Ponce is now 6.4 seconds clear. And I actually fancy, well, by quite some margin, 1 1/3 seconds, McCanty has closed in on Patrick Van Glabbeker. We're getting down to the final 5 minutes or so. Coach McCanty just going out of shot, and behind it's getting tighter and tighter. Lucchini holding on to 5th place in the number 7 Ferrari, but certainly Nicolas van Dierendonck is getting closer. Yes, this whole battle from Van Glabbeker in 3rd place back to Ojay in 7th is closing right up. I'd say about 5 seconds cover them now, maybe not even quite that much. Ojay is catching Van Dierendonck, Van Dierendonck is catching Lucchini, and certainly McCanty is catching Van Glabbeker for 3rd place. And the fastest of all the drivers mentioned there on that last lap, apart from the first 2 in the race, Ponce and Ritchie, was the driver in 7th, Karim Ojay, last time around. That is why it's all closing up. Into the final 5 minutes. Van Glabbeker still 3rd in the 488 Ferrari with the suitable number on the door, 488. You can see the Lamborghini is closing in. So could it be a first podium of the season for Coach McCanty? We've seen how he is finding more and more speed from that car, but let's see what he can do when it comes to the out-and-out racing and, importantly, passing required to be right at the front end. Only one working brake light, as there has been since the start of the race, pretty much, on Van Glabbeker's Ferrari. See it when you see him braking hard through the chicane. There you go. Good point is when you get the rear shot, looking at them at turn number 13, before they go down to 14 and 15, the 2 corners of the chicane. Better end to the lap there, I would suggest, from Patrick Van Glabbeker, but he's lost another 6/10 of a second. He's only 6/10 clear now of the Lamborghini, so there is time through the course of this lap. If they continue as they are, they will be absolutely nose to tail in the battle for 3rd place. And again, just see what happens when a car gets quite close to another one, and it really suffers when it tries to turn in because the air's taken off its nose, and McCanty had a bit of a twitch there. And don't forget, Van Glabeke finished first and second last time out. That was in August, the end of August at the Hungaroring. Very, very different conditions. Very hot indeed. Incident between car 33 and 68 under investigation. 33 is Christian Hook. Oh dear, he's already had a drive-through penalty. And 68 is Oliver Baumann. We saw his SLS AMG Mercedes. Didn't see the incident, but looks so Christian Hook is going to have not one, but perhaps two visits to race control afterwards to see the stewards. Anyhow, he's had his drive-through penalty. That's dropped him down to 17th out of the runners. Everyone's still going apart from Ulrich. I was right, it was Ulrich who didn't start the race. Should have been starting from mid-grid. Christoph Ulrich, Swiss racer. Now we suddenly have a move. Well, it's come. Now we've seen OJ not braking enough at the end of the back straight, and this time he's collided there, went down the inside. Whether he had enough braking, but certainly as Lucchini turned in, he probably thought he had enough to keep him out of trouble. He was ahead of Van Dierendonck, and Van Dierendonck has ended up not with a broken car, but he's ended up cemented in that 5th place. And Karim OJ, unfortunate incident down there with Lucchini. Lucchini had been 5th going down the back straight. OJ had been 7th. OJ dived around the inside, shaped up to Van Dierendonck, took the charge. He's walking away, and the Ferrari driver, you'd have to suggest, was pretty much the innocent party in that. Looks like Karim is apologising. Well, that's good to see. So he really had, well, you could see he hadn't intended it. He just didn't have enough space to do the braking. But yeah, you know you've got it wrong. So Karim is going to walk away. So good toe there for Karim OJ. He tried that on previous laps, but it looks like, just look at the way he gained several car lengths. Lucchini was unsighted because, in fact, the Lamborghini was between the two of them. So at the point he started turning in, he couldn't have seen OJ. OJ couldn't get his braking done, and unfortunately clashed with the side of the number 7 Ferrari, both out of the race. And good to see at least Lucchini is out of the car. You'll see his front end is damaged, but hopefully that can be repaired by the crew at BMS Scuderia Italia, and that can go out again tomorrow because Lucchini's shown good speed this weekend. So frustrating, but Karim OJ has been across to apologise, which is always good to see. Stephen Earle still tucked under the rear wing of Dilanta Malagamua, so he is now up into 9th place overall with those 2 other cars ahead of them coming off, and with just a minute to go until the checkered flag. Number 72 leading by 9.3 seconds. So look, Karim continues to apologise, and I think Lucchini's a little too upset to consider it, but Karim is full of remorse. So making things look very easy, sweeping around, getting onto what ought to be the start of the final lap. Would he be 10 seconds clear? If not, very, very close indeed, because Maurice Ritchie started to close in, but the final few laps, the pace had just been picked up by Anthony Ponce just to reassert his supremacy. So on to the final lap of the race. Is his advantage 10 seconds? Matters not if it's 9 or 10. It's sufficiently far clear of the 87 Mercedes. 14.8 seconds. Ritchie has lost an awful lot of time. Didn't see if there was a problem on that, but he has now suddenly got Van Glabeke, who was way behind, right onto his tail. Has Ritchie run out of brakes or something? Something has happened around that lap. 5 seconds off his regular lap pace. Can he pick it up? Because now he's got pressure. He's second, but Van Glabeke, who was way behind once Ritchie had pulled clear. Oh, well, Van Glabeke's been helped a lot. Coach McKenzie's on the outside of Howard Blank. Has lost a lot of ground there, and suddenly Nicholas Van Dierendonck looked as though he was shaping up to get past his fellow Lamborghini racer, but then he too had to go wide to go past the white, red and blue Ferrari. So Van Dierendonck was very nearly caught up in all that incident nearly a lap ago down at turn 10. But here goes the field, still around the final lap. It looks though Anthony Ponce has got this in the bag. But 87, Ritchie, can he stay on in second place? Suddenly Van Glabeke, I don't know what the incident was that slowed 87. But here he is on the final lap. He hadn't been under pressure, and now he most certainly is in the battle for second place overall. So second, Ritchie in the black, red and white Mercedes, right in behind Van Glabeke. Diving to have a look up the inside. Has Ritchie got enough brakes? Waved yellow flags. You cannot pass with the waved yellow flags. Of course, that's the place where the BMW clattered into the number 7 Ferrari, but no such problems for our race leader. 72 Mercedes racer Anthony Ponce started on pole position, led every lap of the race. He was clear on the run down to turn 1. And he's just notched up win number 4 of his campaign. Very tidy, and I'm fairly sure he'll have the fastest lap of the race for good measure, but still attacking down into the chicane for the final time. Ritchie braked as late as he dared. That put him wide. Who's going to get the power down better? Is the Mercedes got enough grunt to stay out of Van Glabiker? Suddenly right in behind Coach McCanty, already heading for his best results of the year. Fancies a podium position, comes close, but Van Glabiker can't get up with the Mercedes, has to settle for 3rd place overall, and Nicholas van Dierendonck very, very close in behind. So what a great finish to the race, and Ritchie lets the others pass. It's almost as though they continued in their racing, but Ritchie did just enough, ended the race a whisker under 20 seconds down, so quite clearly. And here's the driver who had that incident, number 68, the second incident in which Christian Hook in the 33 Ferrari has been reported for consideration by the stewards, but certainly number 2 driver Karim O'J, he has been reported for that clash down at turn 10 that took out the number 7 Ferrari. So they're crossing the finish line in 7th place overall, lots of places gained, and Iron Cup class has been won today by Klaus-Dieter Freres, 2 places further behind. We just saw the 111 Ferrari of Stephen Earle, so he hasn't lost too many points, but it does give quite an advantage going to the season finale in the Iron Cup class to Klaus-Dieter Freres, Artiga Rennsport Ferrari racer. Last few cars just coming home. That was number 27, welcome to the championship, Peter Gurka, joined for this weekend with Kessel Racing. And he is going down to turn 1, so he's got a good banker in. Peter finishing in 15th position, so he gained quite a few places, started down in 22nd, but really nobody could hold a candle in this qualifying race to the Mercedes AMG. Number 72, one of 2 entered by the ACA ASP team. They started on the front row of the grid and they finished nearly 20 seconds apart in 1st and 2nd, but really once the line had been held down into turn 1 on the opening lap, Ponce just had the pace and the comfort as Van Glabiker briefly held back Ritchie in that battle for 2nd place, and the escape was good, the escape was made, and so yet another win, the 4th of the season for Anthony Ponce. He's already been crowned champion, and he's just reiterated why. There it is, 19.6 seconds between Ponce and Ritchie in their 2 Mercedes. Patrick Van Glabiker got right onto his tail in that final lap of the race. Coach McCanty, his best results in his Lamborghini. Nicholas van Dierendonck, that makes 2 Lamborghinis in the top 5, and the top Iron Cup runner, Klaus-Dieter Freres, in 6th place overall. And Dylan Malagamua finished 9th to win the Extra Cup class. A few fallers down at the end of the race there. We saw one of the Buisson-Gignon cars, the Lamborghini, come into the pits, and unfortunately into the gravel, the 7 Ferrari and the Buisson-Gignon BMW with Karim O'J at the wheel, who apologised profusely afterwards, but the damage was done. But they're already beneath the podium, some way clear in the race, some way clear in returning to the pit lane is our race winner, Anthony Ponce. Fantastic job. Yet again, he wasn't on full form for whatever reason. The car just wasn't right at the Hungaroring at the end of August, but you want to end your season on a high, disregard the fact you are already the champion. And a really, really good job yet again from the ACA ASP racer, number 72 Mercedes. That man there, Anthony Ponce, so far clear, waiting for the 2 cars that came behind him. They're coming in reverse order because Patrick Van Glabiker finished 3rd in his Ferrari, and the 87 Maurice Ritchie Mercedes was 2nd in the race. And in behind you can see the Ferrari number 3, that is 6th overall, and victory in the Iron Cup class for Klaus-Dieter Freres. So he takes the honours in that class. And just waiting for the winner, 9th place overall in the Extra Cup class, Dylan Malagamua. Hopefully they'll be flagging him into his Lamborghini, number 24. Yes, just pulling into the background of your shot. Go over towards the wall, he's being told. And 2nd place in the Iron Cup class goes to the 111 Ferrari there, Stephen Earle. And 3rd, there's the blue Mercedes, great looking livery, Willem Paulus de Pundert, 3rd in the Iron Cup. So a great run there for Klaus-Dieter Freres to win that class. Couple of positions ahead. He was 6th overall, 2nd in class. 8th overall was Stephen Earle, and Willem Paulus de Pundert 11th to come 3rd in the Iron Cup class. But let's go down to the collection area and hear from our race winner, Anthony Ponce.
Anthony, a massive congratulations. What another glorious race for you.
Yeah, it was quite tough anyway. We had a lot of issues with the balance of the car compared to all the other races we had. We could not find the right balance, so it was really tough. But I think it's the same problem for everybody here. So, but at the end, it's good to be first.
Do you think you're going to be tough to beat tomorrow?
I don't know. You never know. You never know a race like this. It's 40 minutes. It's double time, so we will have to take care about the tires, and but it will be fine.
Congratulations. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Dakota. He didn't look as though he was having too many problems in the car. Balance looked fine from the outside, but there he is. The advantage stretched, still with the final race of the championship to go. Already Anthony Ponce was the champion, but he has stretched that advantage. Christoph Ulrich didn't get to start the race. Karim Ujay in third place didn't get to finish it, so those behind have managed to steal a few more positions. So suddenly Ujay's going to have to work quite hard tomorrow, and for whatever reason that Ulrich didn't start the race, hopefully he too will get a crack to conclude the Blancpain GT Sports Club running. And in the Iron Cup, Stephen Earle was leading by 3 points. It's now down to just 1 point ahead of Klaus-Dieter Freres. Louis-Philippe Sonnen also in the race today, running in third place. It was a two-way battle. It remains a two-way battle, which is just how Stephen Earle and Klaus-Dieter Freres want it. They love the competition. I'm sure they've been chatting to each other down in the collection area as well. But let's have a look at the highlights. A good start from Anthony Ponce, taking the lead in the 72 Mercedes. Maurice Ritchie in the 87 car lost a little bit of ground. In fact, he lost 2 places, and down behind we had some very heavy braking. Mario Cordoni, the 70 Lamborghini, having to really hit the anchors. Then unfortunately he was hit. That was Christian Hook spinning him round. And also there was contact with Oliver Baumann's Mercedes that had a bit of bodywork hanging loose. Then this fantastic battle fighting over, well, it was a battle for 5th, 6th and 7th places, and Karim Ojay in the 2 BMW tried left, he tried right, he tried once, he tried twice, got his nose in front, didn't do enough braking. That was turn 10, a corner he was going to get to see again later. And then on to the final lap of the race. Sorry, the middle point of the race is the point where Maurice Ritchie moved his way past into second place, regaining where he was on the grid, going past Van Glavica. Lucchini fighting really hard in the number 7 BMS Scuderia Italia Ferrari, right in behind Nicolas van Dierendonck in the Ombra Racing Lamborghini. Then he came under pressure and was out-braked, but not enough braking in the end for the number 2 BMW. Clouted, innocent Lucchini spun them both out of the race, but nobody could really do anything about this man. Whether he says the car wasn't handling quite to his liking or not, he's still dominated by a whisker under 20 seconds. But on the final lap, Ritchie did just enough braking and managed to haul his car into the second part of the final chicane, and thus held off Patrick Van Glavica. Coach McKenzie right in behind for his best result of the season, and Nicolas van Dierendonck tucked in there as well. Very close from second through to fourth, but no doubting the identity of the race winner, because that was a really, really strong run yet again from Anthony Ponce. But drivers breathing out. Willem Pulis de Pundert catching his breath on the right-hand side. It's hard work out there, but it's longer tomorrow. 15 minutes extra. Stephen Earle in the background with a luxuriant moustache waiting to come out when they call the Iron Cup runners. But he's having a good chat with the driver who beat him, and that's Klaus-Dieter Freres. Stories to tell. One more roll of the ball tomorrow. So third position overall, Patrick Van Glavica nearly came second with that final flurry. Still haven't worked out what happened to Maurice Ritchie. Here comes Maurice out onto the podium. He lost about 5 seconds on one lap, and it suddenly brought the chasing pack onto his tail. But there's no doubting about the identity of the fastest driver here this afternoon for AKSP Racing, the 72 Mercedes, Anthony Ponce, his 4th win of the season. And for the Extra Cup class, finishing in 9th place overall, Dilanta Malagamua. So handshakes from the Sri Lankan racer in his Lamborghini. So the Marseillaise ringing out loud there for Anthony Ponce, and out to come the trophies. For third place to Patrick Van Glabiker examining the trophies. Had quite a few through the season. Maurice Ritchie, he should be pleased with that. That was a really good run. Apart from that one lap, he'll be ruining the fact he went from second to fourth at the start. But the driver who went from first to first, undoubtedly looking in total control of the race, Anthony Ponce. What a strong season he's had. So plenty of smiles. A slightly rueful smile there, looking to the side of the podium, but he had fun there, Maurice Ritchie. So gaining some extra experience ahead of the main race for the Endurance Cup, and out comes the Fizz, and all are looking to see what they can do. Still waiting for the, of course, for the Iron Cup celebrations. Should be coming out shortly. The drivers have decided to keep their suits dry. Will and Paul is to Pundit. Can't believe they haven't let the bubbly get ripped. But now waiting for the Iron Cup runners. That's the special class for drivers aged 60 and above. But what I love is just the smiles and the applause and the backslapping for the top three overall. And for Malagamua, who won the Extra Cup class. Great bonhomie. Which is as you'd expect in the sports club. It's the very nature of why these drivers go racing. So plenty of smiles, quite rightly so. So it was a great run there. There's Klaus-Dieter Freres, just waiting to be called up. Packed agenda here, already cars going out onto the grid for the next race. Again, that's exactly how we like it. And smiles are out. Willem Paul is to Pundit, certainly very popular. A lot of his friends, family and team very happy with that from down below. A driver who always elicits, look, did he win? No. Did he come second? Is he still leading the championship? Yeah. Didn't win. Did come second. Is super close at the top of the championship. It's great to see the sportsmanship. Stephen Earle, and yes, I enjoyed that very much, says our race winner, Klaus-Dieter Freres, in the Iron Cup class. So great delight from our three podium visitors. On the right-hand side, the black and blue overalls of Willem Paul is to Pundit, Mercedes racer. And it's Ferraris 1 and 2. Stephen Earle, yet another trophy to go back to the States. And for Klaus-Dieter Freres, that's his 5th class win this year. Just checking to see if their names are on there. Not yet, gentlemen. But the very essence of the Blancpain GT Sports Club. Trio of drivers thoroughly enjoyed their afternoon. They've got even more of a race tomorrow, 40 minutes in which to go out and play. And I think they've all agreed to take their bottles back and drink them with the team down in the paddock. So great afternoon's entertainment there. But nobody could answer the pace, the sheer pace of Racker ASP Mercedes in the hands of Anthony Ponce. Yet another win.